You know, sometimes in the spirit of competition, you come across someone that is built just like you, that everybody said wasn't good enough, wasn't fast enough, wasn't strong enough, wasn't tall enough, couldn't be one of the elite. So you took on the role of underdog. And through that role of underdog, you suddenly became a favorite among the elite. But just because you become elite doesn't mean that you drop the role of the underdog. Because deep down inside, you never want to be satisfied with being one of the elite. You still want people to count you out, like you're not supposed to be there, like you don't belong. Both of these quarterbacks, Kaepernick and Wilson, were underdogs. They weren't RG3. They weren't Andrew Luck. They weren't one of the top quarterbacks taken in their respective drafts. And they consumed the role of the underdog. But have they really been underdogs their whole life? Even in college? Were they the underdog then? Nobody expected for them to be an elite quarterback. Top 5 quarterbacks, right? At this point of the season, right? Yeah, it's the WC. Here with the NFC Championship breakdown. Kaepernick versus Wilson. Curl versus Harbaugh. Once again, it's like an old rivalry. Stanford versus UFC all over again, right? Who knew it would come to this? Now, I know you hear victory playing in the background because this is like a heavyweight title fight. Two heavyweights in the middle of the ring, looking to take each other's heads off, and that's what it's going to be in Seattle. A heavyweight title fight, and whoever can land the biggest haymaker is going to win this game, no doubt. The knockout punch might come 30 seconds in the game, and might come with 3 seconds left with a game-ending field goal. That's how evenly matched both of these teams are. And starting with the QB comparison, both of these guys are underdogs, like I said before. Both of these guys weren't top 5 NFL draft picks, but these guys always had that dynamic. They always had the mechanics. They always had the intangibles. They always had the things that you just can't teach a quarterback. They have it, and it's going to be a fun matchup to watch. I'm going to give this matchup a push too. Just like I gave Brady and Manning a push, this one gets a push too. Neither one of these quarterbacks just shadows above each other to the point where you have to give that one the split, but both of them match up pretty darn well to each other. As far as coaches go, if you're a college football fan, you know that this is not a brand new rivalry. Pete Carroll and Jim Harbaugh. Stanford, UFC. Do I really need to, go any further than that and explain in that rivalry? These two guys battling it out in the collegiate circuit and then coming into the pros and still battling it out. It's the 3rd time that these teams will face off this year. Round 3. Winner takes it all. Winner takes the NFC. Now, in these games I like to talk about the intangibles, the X factors. They said that it's probably going to rain in Seattle, and we all know it never rains in Southern California. So, advantage Seahawks when it comes to that, right there, the rain. But but the 49ers are built so well, they're put together so well by Jim Harbaugh to the point where they can perform in bad weather games, just like they did in Green Bay. So you could say push, but I'm going to give the advantage as far as intangible goes. The weather, the crowd, the 12th man in Seattle. Seattle's got that down, locked down. No way I could give any kind of advantage to San Francisco in this game when it comes to intangibles. Now, as far as X Factor goes for both teams, let's start with the 49ers. The X Factor in this game has to be Vernon Davis. Just like last week when I was talking about Jimmy Graham, who put on a terrible performance, and that's the reason why the Saints lost that game, by the way. If you watch my video, you know that I put a spotlight on Jimmy Graham and he didn't perform. That's the reason why the Saints lost that game. This week, it's Vernon Davis. It's the same thing, same concept, just different player, probably a better player. If Vernon Davis has the game that I think that he's capable of having, former Turk, by the way, go Maryland. If he has that type of game that Jimmy Graham did not have last week, San Francisco will be the NFC champions. As far as Seattle goes, their X factor is their crowd. Their X factor is their crowd. How loud could the people in Seattle get for that team? With that defense, with those big, huge corners and those big safeties and those smart linebackers and those defensive tackles that can just get after it. How loud can that crowd get in Seattle? That's what the X factor is going to be for the Seattle Seahawks. I could single out a player, but why single out a player when the whole team is pretty darn good at this point? Now, let's get into what both of these teams are going to have to do to win the game. We'll start with San Francisco. Alright. San Francisco has been using the clock all playoffs long. They've been using the clock. They've been methodically moving down the field. You saw what they did to Carolina. Carolina got worn out. They got a rope-a-dope. You ever seen, boxing, a rope-a-dope? They got worn down and they got knocked down. Couple haymakers. These guys are they like heavyweight boxers. They have to wear down that Seattle defense with the running game, and then effectively use, play action to Bolden, play action to Crabtree. Those guys should be open if they run the ball correctly. Kaepernick's got the arm to make every single throw on the field, and if they run the ball and they manage the clock, that'll be the key to victory for San Francisco advancing to the Super Bowl. Now going on to Seattle real quick. Like I said, I just harped on their defense. The 12th man. If they're able to get San Francisco into a couple of 3-and-outs early in the game, manage the clock. I mean, the clock is basically going to be the biggest factor in this game, because both of these teams like the rope-a-dope. Like I said, they're heavyweight boxers. What they do best is running the ball. What they do best is physical play. This game is going to be very, very physical. It's probably going to be one of the best games of the year as far as like pure football. You love football in the trenches, you'll love this game. I love football in the trenches. I like to see those big offensive tackles and defensive tackles just go head to head, for every single inch on the field. And if Seattle's going to win this game, their game plan is basically similar to rope-a-dope the San Francisco 49ers defense and wear those guys down. Get Patrick Willis out of a position. Get those defensive tackles like, Justice Smith upfield and, hit them with a couple screen passes. I would give numbers, but numbers really don't tell the story in this game. Because like I said, any knockout blow can come at any given time. But just for the people that are curious, I'm just going to say, hey, if Vernon Davis catches about 8 passes and a touchdown, close to about maybe 75 yards, close to maybe 100 yards, San Francisco wins this game. And if Marshawn Lynch goes beast mode like he probably will, I'm expecting for not San Francisco, but the Seahawks to win this game. Maybe a touchdown or two, and about close to about 100 yards. I think that's reasonable for Marshawn Lynch. Those are the two players that I think will have the biggest effect in this game. Now let's go on to prediction. After it's all said and done. After all the things I've done said about the 49ers not winning, not going into Green Bay and winning, not going into Carolina and winning. You think that I would pick them to win this game? And this is their time. I think that, you know, San Francisco goes into Seattle and wins today. I think that they win the game. After not picking them the last couple of weeks, I'm going to pick the San Francisco 49ers to advance to the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. That's just my prediction. As far as the Super Bowl prediction goes, you got to stay tuned. Next week, it's the WC. Drop a like, drop a comment, man. We're all victorious, man. We're all champions. NFC champions gonna be decided after this game. Y'all stay tuned for the Super Bowl video coming up next week.